Alright, I wasn't gonna do any videos, but I had to come out here to get a couple things anyway. And, conveniently right after I made that other video, I'm pretty sure I figured out what the problem was that I was referring to. And now I think that the smell I was smelling was actually my phone. Now, I'm actually using a different phone right now. I use this one to record occasionally, so who knows what the audio will sound like. It's not as good as the other one, but that one isn't as good as the other one, which used to be my primary, secondary phone, if that makes sense. And for similar reasons. But, basically the primary and secondary phone I normally use, both of them had their batteries swell up. And I ordered replacement batteries for both, and I only replaced it in my main phone. So the other one is still, sitting around wherever I put it at. And I never got around to it. But, after I made the other videos, I plugged my phone in to copy the files off, and I started smelling that smell again. And, as usual, I was like, where the fuck is that coming from? But then, at a point, I switched it over to just charging. And for whatever reason, I noticed the cable I normally use for both data and charging, on the cable itself, kind of like near the ends where the connectors are, has this weird sort of greenish sort of hue to it, like it's decaying or maybe burning or something. So I thought, well, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's the cable. So I switched to one of the other cables that I normally use just for charging. And then it started, it actually noticed the smell dissipate for a while. But then when I went to plug it in for that, I noticed the smell again, but it was really for real. It was actually worse. And at that point, I had the realization that basically, well, first I thought, what, is this cable bad too? But then I thought, wait, hold on a minute. So I decided to look at it has a case on it, a little protective case thing. And I decided to hold it sideways and look at it from the thin side of it, and I could see the bulge. And I was like, oh fuck, are you kidding me? So I took that protector case off of it and looked at the actual phone itself, and sure enough, it's bulged out again. Now, it's actually not nearly as bulged as it was when I first replaced the battery, but it was noticeably bulged out. And see, the thing is, the case that I have on it probably, well, it's probably why I didn't notice for so long. I had this weird sort of nauseous feeling for a while, and I started to notice a smell here and there. And we're talking maybe months. But it's probably something that's been happening for quite a while. But the way my case is, it has this raised area on the back that's got a little ring to put it around your finger that's also magnetic, or it'll stick to something that's magnetic or whatever the fuck. So because of that, you can't really tell so easily when it's bulged. So the other one, I went that whole time till I finally noticed it without realizing that. But it was for the same reason. And it's now that I made the connection, I realize, yeah, it's the same smell as the other two made. And thankfully for both of them, I actually ordered 2 batteries. And so, pretty much I'll be using that second one now. And the reason I didn't think of it sooner was because, the phone I normally use, like I used on the last videos I made yesterday, I've had that phone for probably, it was 5 years or more at this point. In fact, the last time I remember it bitching at me to update, it said that my phone hadn't been updated in 1,700 something fucking days. It's 4.5 years or whatever. Okay, well, maybe 3 years ago at this point, I had to get the screen replaced. And then, a year or so back, that's when the battery thing happened, and I swapped it out. But because the original battery lasted for like 4 years or whatever, I guess I just didn't think it would be so soon before I'd need to change it again. So just my mind never considered it. And maybe that's something I need to do is like check, more often, just to do it, just check to see if there's any indication of battery swelling. But that's pretty much what's happening, and that's why it's worse when you plug it in to charge, because it starts to off gas, and it's a lot of noxious stuff. And yeah, it can make you sick, like actually not just feel sick, but it can actually damage your health. I mean, you're breathing in toxic fumes. But a week or so back, dude, it was so nasty that I started having trouble breathing. But because I had bought that, totes and shit, that plastic shit, I thought it maybe had something to do with that. But now I realize it was probably a coincidence for two reasons. One, because, as soon as I sit down again from buying the shit, I plug my phone in to charge. And then also, when I moved them out of the room to, sit in the bathroom, because I thought that was the reason. Well, having the door open for a couple minutes aired it out well enough that, I stopped, smelling it or whatever. Or, well, both smelling it and also having the effects, because it kind of like aired out or whatever. But I don't know. The plastic stuff, I mean, that could also be a factor. Some of it smells kind of off, but it might not have been what was causing the problem. But I seem to have the solution on it now. But, if I replace that battery, I'll probably get a couple more, just in case. Sort of like, I don't know, for me, buying, I buy two to get one with everything, right? Like this mixer I had bought, or not mixer, headphone amp. The extent, they don't want to put a cable on the headphones, so I bought an extension cable for it. Well, it's shorted out, and now I'm constantly accidentally pulling it off, because, the amp off, because the cable is just slightly too short to do anything that won't pull on it. And it damaged it. Now it's damaged so bad that it only, like, the headphones are fine, but if I plug it into that headphone amp, it only plays through one ear, right? Because when it got pulled off the worst time, it broke where the connection is. And it actually also has, the red and white inputs, but I have tons of cables like that. I just can't find them, right? I don't have any adapters or whatever that I can, find the second. So, they for a $12 pair of headphones, they use a $1 audio cable to fuck me out of a $25 headphone amp, right? But, so I actually wanted to get a second one just to, have two, because there's different things I could do. But, again, I buy two of something to only have one. And it seems to be based to some degree off of, like, if I even consider the idea of buying an extra of something, that's when the original will break. But whatever. I get pretty tired of everything being designed to fail. And I'm doing with this video what I do with a lot of them, where I'll pause occasionally if I just can't think of what exactly to say. Like, I don't want to have a bunch of empty space with a 15-minute limit. Or, like on this one, mostly, like here and there, if I cough, I pause it. But I don't use this one as much to record, so who knows how it'll handle that. But, if I change the battery out, it's not as easy as the old phones used to be, but it's still pretty easy. But that like main secondary phone I have, I still haven't even replaced it for the first time. But whatever. I'm kind of just, I don't know. So I had to grab a couple things, so it's like, whatever, I'll just sit here for a bit. And I did have a couple things on my mind, and then also partially, I don't remember the last time I used this phone to record, so I'm curious to see, what it'll sound like, and then also, involved with the, pausing it, like I mentioned, like I'll pause, cough or whatever happens, and then like unpause it and keep talking. So I guess I can also double this as a chance to, kind of test this phone a little bit more. Also, the way I set my phone now, is not how, I don't think I set it the way I do now, the last time I used it. And, of course, phones all have like microphones and all that shit in different spots. So, yeah, I'm pretty much seeing what the audio will sound like and this and that. And maybe, if this one sounds okay where I've got it sitting. One thing I will say with this one, I don't know if it's necessarily the phone itself or if it's just the software, but this one does some kind of at least more extreme kind of AGC, automatic gain compensation or whatever the fuck they call it. And also it seems to have some kind of like noise gating that it'll do, GATING, noise gating. And, sometimes, this one don't sound as great. Now, the one that's normally my secondary phone, they used to be the one that I basically always recorded with. So I would use it to record, videos like this, or, well, audio like this. And then even like lifting videos when I would go to the gym. And then my primary phone, I would just, either be looking at for whatever other reason, or sometimes I would have, notes of, stuff I wanted to remember to bring up or something like that. But nowadays, I use my primary phone to record, and I'll use this one if there's ever an issue with the other one. So I didn't even bother bringing it with me. I just left it there. Because I didn't feel like carrying two phones. But yeah, at least I feel like I maybe have a solution to that. But like that's the thing, because the fucking heavy metals and this and that are in phone batteries and all that can be pretty dangerous. And in retrospect, I've been feeling the way I had been feeling the last time it happened, right? It's like now it sort of all came back to me or whatever. I was like, okay, that makes sense. I guess I kind of wish I would have got more time out of the replacement battery, but whatever. And, now of course I have to fuck with that, which, it's not exactly a huge deal, but it is, it is multiple tiny screws that, I don't want to fucking, end up, I don't want to risk having to like lose them or fucking whatever. But whatever. Yeah, I don't know really what to say with the rest of this video, but I don't know. I'm almost at 15 minutes. Maybe I'll keep, I don't know, talking, saying anything for a minute or two. I don't know. I guess I'll just go ahead and end it there.